Thank you. Even if you're just laughing at me. Okay, thank you. So I've got this little mic on. Is it too loud? Is it too boomy? Is it okay? Cool. So I will briefly introduce myself, Lillybeth, makeup artist, child of God. So some of the photos you've seen just explain a little bit of what I do. For the last 8 years, I've had my little business called A Beautiful Education, and then rebranded to Lillybeth, A Beautiful Education. And my whole desire was, first I got recruited into a makeup company, so you know how you don't go, oh yes please, sign me up for a party plan. Sometimes you just kind of get roped into it. And so was my experience anyway. So I kind of got roped into this party plan business, which was called Mary Kay, and they sell cosmetics and skincare and stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm interested in that. My personal story with makeup is that I had acne. I got pimples from when I was 9 years old and right to today sometimes. So that's been a big thing in my life. And so I started in this little business selling products, and really quickly I realised that I'm quite an honest person. I want to say what I want to say, not be told what to say. And so I realised that I wanted to be able to recommend whatever brands would work, right? Not just sell that one brand and hope that the person will buy it so I can pay my bills and do free parties and things like that. And while that's still it's a valid way of making an income, I decided to make my own business and to just be myself and to say whatever I wanted to say and do makeup lessons in my own style. So instead of doing free parties, I kind of switched back to the old way of doing business where you charge for your services and then you can give that recommendation however you want to. So that's how I started in business and in makeup. And then weddings got really huge for me, so I still offer makeup lessons, and the photos of these ladies befores and afters are actually, in both photos they're wearing their makeup, and both photos they've done their own makeup. So I asked Jane to come to me in her going out makeup, so whatever that was, and then she redid it with my guidance, and that's how I do a makeup lesson. And so those photos I haven't really done their makeup, they've done it themselves just with my guidance in the second photo. So that's what I do, makeup lessons and wedding makeup and all the rest of it, and I've always been based here in Tauranga. So I think that there are positive and negative sides to makeup. I will definitely acknowledge that lots of people will see makeup as just a worldly vanity thing, and that's totally legitimate. That can be somebody's intentions when they're wearing makeup, but there are positive sides as well. And so today, I don't know if you how many of us are avid followers of Jesus Christ or have read the Bible, but basically this morning after I've done somebody's makeup, volunteer, I'm going to kind of use makeup to preach the gospel. So it's going to be a little different, and it may be different to what you're expecting. But first, I will get into the actual practical makeup side of things. So I'd love a volunteer, maybe somebody who is not wearing any makeup or has just got really minimal makeup on, to come and jump in my seat. And I will do your makeup as best I can, just in a natural way. Yeah? Here we go. You've got one? Yes. Now I've totally forgotten your name. Nita, it is Nita. And you've just had surgery on your eyes. So is there any feeling, any ouchiness around them? Because I'm going to be poking around a little bit.
Poking it?
Well, no, but with brushes.
Oh, okay.
So does it feel okay?
No.
How long has it been?
No, it's about a month.
Yeah. So just let it? Okay. We're going to have somebody else that hasn't had eye surgery. Yes, if you want to, on the left hand, far right hand knob. Jump up here. What's your name?
Dee.
Dee. Cool. Hello, Dee. I'm Lillybeth. Right. So I'm just going to use Dee as an example, and I'll try not to embarrass us too much. And I do have notes. Actually, I might even sit them on your lap. But so I wrote that actually in preparing for today, I read this whole article from a Christian perspective that outlined in very grand detail, very fine detail, how wearing makeup is a sin and all this stuff. So there's that. I don't wholeheartedly agree, but I will say that when we're talking about wearing makeup today, we're going to be talking about more of a natural makeup look, something that is closer to how we were made naturally. So makeup can be purely corrective, and when you look at photos, you can see things sometimes that you want to correct. So how many of us, when we look in the mirror, we see something that we don't think is right? It's just not right. It's just not how we think that we should be. And we use makeup to correct it, right? So sometimes we use foundation to smooth out the skin because it's blotchy or it's got zits or hyperpigmentation, colour from the sun and all those things. So that's one way that we use makeup. So that's a corrective way. The other way to use it is like a creating way, creative. So some makeup is more natural and focused on restoring what we've lost, right? We lose things through aging, through the world that we live in. And other times it's more recreative and it's more fashion focused. So we're not going to be talking about that so much today. I don't personally encourage, I'm not here to encourage you to wear super sexy, sultry makeup, especially not in public. It's really, it's your, whatever you want to do, of course, but you could save that stuff for your husband. Or even better, wear nothing. Most men love a bare face. But we do need to be careful about how we wear makeup, I believe, and our intentions and our reasons for wearing it. So there are the vain reasons to get people to look at us or to be flirtatious and all that kind of stuff. So that exists. But today when we talk about makeup, we'll be referring to the more natural styles and colours, just about restoring rather than creating something that's not actually there. So I'll get started on Dee's face. I'm sorry if I'm going to stand in front of her and then I'll kind of walk around so you can see. So I'll just do the best that I can, having not about you, Dee, having not met you before, and that's what we do. So I'm going to whip out some foundations. You can decide for yourself whether you want to learn from me and copy these techniques, or if you think, actually, no, I don't like what she does. That's totally up to you. But I'm just going to grab some liquid foundation. And I've got 2 shades here, so I'm just going to do a bit of a blend and just see how it looks. Yeah, so there's a long story answer. Yeah, go for it. I use an online database called Beautypedia. It's not a branded product, it's just a database, and I look everything up on beautypedia.com because I'm very interested in honest reviews, not consumer reviews. So there's a really cool website called makeupalley.com, but they're consumer reviews. They're teenagers and women saying, smells good, it must be good for my skin, or I saw my friend use it and she only uses really trendy products, or it's expensive, so it must be good. So I'm not interested in that at all, I just want what's real. So I use products that are rated well on a review website called Beautypedia, and they review their products from 1 star to 5 stars. So I'm looking at the 4 and 5 star products. The cool thing is with that website is that you can filter the search by price, and I'm a big believer in not spending more money than you have to. And if it looks great in your makeup kit because it's a beautiful brand, but it doesn't look good on the face, well, there's no reason for that. So for me, I'm going to always look at the best products and then filter them by the price and the ones that we can access here in New Zealand. So that's generally what I do, is look them up on Beautypedia, and most big brands are listed there and reviewed there. It is good. And this is light to medium, how I'm kind of applying it, but it does have quite a good whack to it. So yeah, so it's maybe a little golden, but yeah, it's better to make it. If you're in between 2 shades, like today, I blended them. One would be too pale, one would be too dark, so I blended them. But if you have to, you err on the darker side rather than the paler side, just because we can get tanned naturally, but we don't just go ghostly overnight and pasty. So it's okay to have a little bit of colour if you have to, if you can't choose between 2 shades. I go right over the eyelids. Lots of people leave that out. Right around the eyelids. And you'll find if you have any texture on your face, any crepey skin or lines, you'll want to avoid putting too much product on those areas. Because makeup, you think it should make you look better by default, but it doesn't. And there are some people that apply makeup in a way that makes you look worse, and you think, oh my goodness, all I can see is your makeup. Or it can be distracting, so you still have to be careful with where you put it. You can't just slap it on and think, oh, I've done the motion, I must be good. I must look good. So I'm going to grab a smaller brush just in case there's anything under the eyes. Cool, so just look up to the ceiling for me. Just getting that nice smooth colour right up under the lashes. Just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to use one of my favourite little products. It's this funky little click pen, like this. So that was actually a Mary Kay. I mentioned that brand that I got roped into selling. I still use a lot of it because it rates really well on Beautypedia. So I'm like, score, because I have an account with them so I can get it a little cheaper, and it's already got a really fair price point. So that foundation is from Mary Kay, and that was $39. This is a little click pen from Mary Kay as well. But I will use a little click pen. Click, click. Pushes the product through the brush. It's nice. You can use your finger if you want to pat it in, but it's nice just to have the brush, and then if you want to, you can blend it a bit more. I use that one lots on my eyes today.
Like a sleep.
And sinuses and all the rest of it. So we're really just trying to, we haven't covered her face like a Barbie. Dee's face, you can still see some of the pigmentation or freckles coming through, but it does look smoother. And of course, oh good, okay.
Doesn't feel heavy.
And that's just how the foundation's looking at the moment, just like that. So to me, that's a medium coverage. Other people think, whoa, that's full coverage. That's okay. So because we've put a bit of foundation on, you think, oh, heck, now where's my colour gone? I look all kind of one colour. There's no rosiness, there's no freshness, so we have to add it back in. It's a bit of a catch-22. You take it off, but then you put it back in. So I'm just going to do actually the same kind of colour I used today on myself, bit of a corally pinky colour, closest to kind of what she might naturally flush, might be a little bit of a pinky shade. So that's got a bit of a pink to it. Just going to do that real quick if I can. Whoa. Get too much? Grab your little brush again. It's great having one of these kabuki brushes, flat top kabuki, because if you make a little mistake, you've got it with you, or your sponge, rather than just your fingers, but you can just blend it away. Okay, a little bit of glow hopefully coming from within. On that note, let's do a tiny bit of shimmer on her cheekbones. I've got a little shimmer on my cheekbones. It just makes your cheekbones look like they're a little bit more prominent or higher, which is generally a kind of an ideal beauty type thing. Do a little bit there. And so a makeup application, if I'm doing it, well, would probably take, on somebody else, it would take me probably 40, 45 minutes. So I'm just trying to do a 10, 15er or so today. Something like that anyway. Okay, so there's a bit of a shimmer there, just on the sides of the face. We don't want it right in the cheeks, otherwise it will make it look like she has been slaving over a hot stove. And we all know it's more beautiful not to work. So if you've got that option. Okay, so sometimes we want our eyes to be brighter and bigger. And when we age, sometimes our skin or our eyes look more hooded, like this kind of thing. You can see like your lashes touch the skin and all the rest of it. So I'm just going to use a little pen to make her eyes look a bit larger. You don't really have, you've got a little bit of the hooding going on, but it's just a natural, and sometimes it's your natural eye shape. It's not even to do with aging, but for you, you think it is? Okay, great. So now you can see this beautiful, it's almost like a clown white that I'm putting on. Clown white. Let's get some red lips. No, just kidding. And this is just, for me, this is a base. It's almost like an eyeshadow primer, but it also means that any light colours I put on are going to keep their paleness. Whereas if I just put them straight onto the skin, which is a little darker, they don't always stick as much as I want them to. Okay, so it's just like a base. I've done it mostly on the lid and then lifted it up a little bit higher, up to her lash line a tad. Just like that. Okay, so let's go into a bit of eyeshadow. What's happening over there? Okay, so this is a nice shimmery colour. Just close your eyes again, and we're just going to cover up that white, put it right on top of the lid. And generally, lots of people put their eyeshadow on and they just do it on the lid. They might have a colour, a pink or a purple or whatever the brown shade is, and they might put it all over here. And then when they open your eyes, it's all gone. It's gone back into the abyss of the hooded eye. So it's like, oh, you can't see it. It's not doing anything for you. So we actually, when it comes to the darker shade or the colour we actually really want to see, we take that up higher than the lid. So it's actually going up above the crease, almost just towards the brow bone, so that when you kind of look up, you'll see it's a little bit darker, where you can actually see the shadow when your eyes are open. So that's a really common mistake lots of people do. They just do it on this lidded, this blinkable area. Okay. So now we'll get a medium colour in a moment and just go a little bit higher. We'll go around that eyelid that we've made a little bit paler. We'll pretend it's a hot potato and we're not going to touch it. So we're just going to take a nice, very nice natural browny shade. We'll take it a little bit. See how like I'm way up there is where I'm actually aiming that darker colour, so that when Dee opens her eyes, you can just see that, and I'll blend that in a moment so it doesn't look too rainbow stripy. But that's actually where we're aiming for. Some people like to go softly and then build up the colour. I kind of like to put it on and then blend it. That's just my way. I'm kind of all or nothing. I'm going to keep it kind of quite rounded, just with a natural shape. Okay, so we've got that kind of bit of darkness going in. For some people this might be a nighttime, but you know, this to me is just a really medium day look. So you've got the light on the lid and a little bit of darkness just when she's got her eyes open. Okay, it's important not to take the colour too low. So when we come out here with the eyeshadow, we don't want it to continue coming down, and you can just see it happening a little there, because if you just open your eyes again, you want it to be in this line, as though there's a line from your nose to the edge of your eye on that kind of angle. So you don't want the colour to do this, to come down into that kind of triangle area. So we just take that away. It just visually drags the eye down. When you look at a person, it visually kind of drags the eyes down if they've got the colour coming all the way down. Okay, I'm going to do a bit of brows, and then we'll curl her lashes and get some mascara on. I want to show you my little pencil sharpener. I think it's a poop, but it's purple, so it's mine. But I don't take myself too seriously. So I'm actually just going to use this really light pencil, even though Dee is kind of a light brunette. This pencil is called Blonde because it's so easy to get your brows too dark. Oh my goodness, I make that mistake all the time. Got to admit to that, especially on myself. And just having it close to your hair colour is okay, but probably a few shades lighter is good. So this is actually kind of blonde, which is a light brown. And that's just filling in her shape, just like that. So you can kind of see the difference. You might be able to see the difference up there too. That's okay. I shave my brows. I've got this little razor. No kidding. I just shave underneath, shave on top. It's called facial planing, if you want a fancy word for it, but it's just a razor with a handle. No, kind of. Yeah, it's just a razor though, with a handle about that long. And you just go like this. You don't come that way. You just come down. It takes away all the little hair outside the shape. It's not meant to be, it's not as, sometimes it's not quite as accurate as plucking. But okay, so there's our bit of shape. We're just taking away that, not so much a sparseness, but just an unevenness perhaps that was there. We all know that just happens, doesn't it? Okay. So we were actually, before things went a little bit wonky with our faces, the actual intention of God when he designed us was for us to be perfect. So if you know the story in Genesis, at the start of the Bible, in chapter 2, he creates man and woman in his own image. But chapter 3 says that they rebelled, they sinned, and that's actually when sin, or the ugliness that we see around us enters the world. And that's why it's sometimes hard to be happy or to have joy, because we can see so much sadness. There's so much suffering. I know it's not a very nice topic to talk about, but we're talking about truth and beauty and everything here. But the reason why sometimes we use makeup is because there is stuff that has gone wrong with our faces that wasn't actually intended to be that way. It wasn't God's intention for us to have sunspots or wrinkles or sagging or whatever that goes on, right? And it's not even just our faces, we probably see it in our bodies. And then there's pain in childbirth and all that stuff I'm looking forward to one day. So it wasn't intended to be like this. Like Dee was created to be like totally perfect, or designed to be perfect in her body, even though she looks pretty darn good. We still get born with disease, we still get born with deformities. There's abuse in the world, there is awful headlines like that poor little boy Moko who was abused and killed and all this stuff. And that's, people say, why does it have to be like this? Can't we just get along? Can't we just be like animals, like how you see little ducklings and cats playing together and things like that? Why can't it be like, well, it will. And I'll talk about that in a moment. So we were actually designed to be perfect. But sin came into the world, that's the ugliness we see. And we weren't intended to be imperfect. So one reason I love makeup is that it helps me see just a little bit of God's image or God's perfect design. So we're trying to restore it. Brings us closer back to that perfection that he actually intended for us. We weren't designed to die. Our bodies weren't designed to decay. But that is what we see. And so when we use makeup, it's nice because it helps us see a little bit closer to how God actually intended things to be. That's why I love to look at art. I love to look at a beautiful garden, things that are restored into order. So beauty is just about order. We're just trying to reorder the face. It's chaos, the opposite is chaos and disorder. And God is a God of order, and he's got intelligent design. And so we're just trying to create a bit more order with makeup. So we were temporarily messed up, by sin. But we were created in love by God. And that's regardless of your circumstances of your earthly birth as well. God, created us in love. Okay, so where am I? Let's do a bit of curling the lashes. I'll get back to that in a moment. So just look straight ahead. Funny little torture-looking device. We're just going to curl your lashes up. You know what? This might not be part of God's intention. I reckon our lashes are there to protect our eyes, and they're supposed to go like this. That's just an idea. But we go, oh no, we want them up. Makes the eyes look bigger. But hey, that's what we're doing. Because it does look good. Somehow. Maybe he intended it that way. I don't know. So just look straight ahead. Once I'm in there, you can blink. It's totally fine. Is it okay like that? Mm-hmm. Walk in the park, she says. Tropical holiday. It's actually really weird. I'm kind of uncomfortable. But I'm just kind of clamping down that curler. Mm-hmm. And then I walk it out towards the tips of the lashes like that. Lots of people just go down the roots of the lashes and, oh, that's it. But it's not giving you a real curl or a lift, really. I'll actually like to ask God to see what he says about my lash curling. But they do look beautiful, and they do make our eyes look bigger and more feminine, I guess. So Daisy, I'll do a bit of eyeliner now that we've curled the lashes, and then some mascara. Just going to use a deep brown. Lots of women get into a black. And that's okay if you've got really dark hair. Perhaps if you've got black hair, that makes sense. But I'm just going to use a dark brown. One of these million of tissues to clean it first. Just with some alcohol. Okay, so yeah, just a dark brown, a little bit closer to the colours that Dee already has on her face. She's got no black, no black hair, no really dark skin, nothing like that. So just keeping it kind of natural again. So if you just look up to the ceiling, just try and make sure that is all evaporated. I'm just going to define her shape of her eye, just by mushing, technical term, mushing the eyeliner into the roots of the lashes. And then just look straight ahead. Okay, and because we love big eyes, I'm not going to take the liner all the way in, which sometimes goes and it kind of closes down because it defines the eye too much. So if we just do it the outside third or so, it gives us the illusion that the eyes are bigger and rounder, which is generally a more beautiful thing. When we're little babies, we have big eyes, and we kind of look up at people like this, and it makes our eyes look bigger, So even from children, from babies, we know that big eyes are beautiful. And you probably know some kids that know how to use them too. Mm-hmm. Puppy dog eyes, get their own way. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're trying to do too. Just look down to the ground this time. And I'm just lining the tops of the lashes, or the roots of the lashes at the top. Instead of just going kind of a third of the way along, like we did on the bottom, I'll go right most of the way along. The idea is that we're giving the illusion of thicker lashes, like our lashes are super healthy and thick and full, right? Sometimes we lose those too. Or, much older women will have grey brows, grey lashes getting in there. That's not your joy yet, though, is it, Dee? No.
I hope not.
And down again. I'll just take my time on this one, actually. The thinner is better, generally, for more of a natural look. I've probably gone a little too thick on one eye. And just open again. Okay, good. Not so good. That's okay. Just look down again. I'll just try and thin it if I can. Okay. Let's do a bit of mascara. Just going to use a disposable. Now here's a different brand for you, because most of that's been Mary Kay so far, apart from our little eye primer, which was a NYX product. This is a CoverGirl. This is a really highly rated mascara on Beautypedia. And it's the $24 one, and it's got the same rating as the Dior Show mascara, which is $60. So really just looking at effective products for... Yeah, it is. I think this one was Kmart. So I have no shame in that. If it works, that is good, as long as it does. This is actually really waterproof, so I hope you've got a waterproof makeup remover at home. If you don't, you can use coconut oil or olive oil or any oily kind of substance. Just look way up high to the ceiling. I'll do those bottom lashes to make them look a little fuller. And the mascara, it kind of adds to the definition of the eyes, rather than just having a line underneath. It's just a slightly fuller definition of the shape of the eye, which is really nice. Okay. Okay, and down to the ground. And it's okay if you blink, totally fine. So don't sit there with your eyes watering, trying not to. Sometimes I forget to tell people that, and you're like, oh, okay. You're welcome to blink. So I'm going under the lashes, but also I'm going on the top of the lashes. It really helps you get the tips of the lashes. And if you've got any eyeshadow that's fallen out onto your lashes, it looks really chalky and dusty when you look down if somebody sees it. So we cover it up with the mascara. It's really nice. And down again. And just wiggling it right into the roots of the lashes. It's really personal preference how much you want to go. If you're wearing quite dramatic makeup, then you normally need lots of mascara to make it balanced. But yeah, we're just going to keep it like that, which is still pretty wow. You can probably see it from there. Can you see it? Okay, there's our mascara. So yeah, we'll go on to lips in a moment. Yeah, she's looking gorgeous, isn't she? She's got a gorgeous face. So one way, makeup is one way I just organise the chaos that I see in the mirror. Oh, sorry, I've just taken off my finger. And the beauty that we reveal with makeup is just really a shadow of the real thing, isn't it? It's a shadow. Well, deep inside we know that what's beautiful and what's not. There is even more beauty to come. And even the most gorgeous supermodel, if you think of a really drop-dead gorgeous person on earth, it pales in comparison to the beauty that God's intended for us. And I'm not trying to say that you have to wear makeup to be perfect or anything like that. That is not what I'm saying. But God's beauty is way better than our standard of beauty. We have no idea, really. Like what you said, Chanel, before, God's ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. As high as the heaven is from the earth, that is how far above us he is. This is just a tiny glimpse of the beauty that God intended. And when I was researching this, I am challenged that we are body, soul, and spirit. Most of us acknowledge that as a truth. We are body, soul, spirit. We don't just have a soul. We are a soul. We're a spiritual being. And we have a body. We're not a body that has a soul. So, on the other hand, the real you is soul and spirit. That's why we do need to be careful not to put so much emphasis on the outward appearance, because that will pass away. Is it 2 Corinthians? The things that are unseen are eternal. The things that are seen, like our bodies, are temporary. They're transient. And it's actually what we can't see that actually matters most, and even matters most in God's eyes. And that is what we should be concerned with, not how we look to others or even to ourselves, but our standing before God. And I understand I'm a makeup artist and I'm saying this. But it's really, it's just the challenge to be authentic as much as we can in our beauty anyway, in our pursuit of beauty. I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. So I've just put the lipstick on the bottom lip. And now you can just do a little press, like that. Little press together, great. Cool, and then relax and do maybe a tight smile. And I'll just fill in that colour. That's just giving a bit more of a contrast against your skin.
Yeah.
So a blend of two colours is really natural. It's actually really creamy as well, this one, so it just feels nice on the lips. Won't last as well as the other more drying lipsticks, but it just looks a bit nicer. It's got a bit of a shimmer in there as well. So let's get spiritual again. So just like our faces show the effects of the badness in the world, right? So does our spirit. And we all know that, well, if you do know, that sin separates us from God. And it's the same way that our spirit is naturally fallen because of the sin and the ugliness in the world. That is just how we're born into it. But the good news, the gospel of the Bible says that when Jesus came back to life, he gives us eternal life. If we accept that perfect record of Jesus. And when I look at makeup, I kind of think that is sometimes how God sees us, but in a very tiny way compared to the truth. So when I put on my makeup, I think, that is when I see that it's a little bit closer to perfection. I'm not saying we have to be perfect, but when we're a bit closer to that beauty God intended, that's actually how God sees us, but in a much higher level, you know. So when he looks at us, when we've accepted his son Jesus, he sees Jesus' perfection when he looks at us. Now, when he looks at the real us, he doesn't see our imperfections, which are still there under the makeup. He doesn't see our, there doesn't even need to be any inhibitions when we come to God. Not, just because we're wearing makeup when we come to, that's not how it is. But we can actually be confident that God sees us with the perfection of Jesus. It covers our sins. It covers our blemishes. And that's what I love. It's just like a parallel with makeup. And makeup just reminds me of how God sees me and relates to me, just like he relates to himself, his son. So where does this leave us? So we might enjoy makeup and we might enjoy seeing that it's a form of beauty and we participate in God's beauty. We can see makeup as a reminder that God sees us with perfection because of his son Jesus. It's closer to how we're designed. But is that it? No. So the Bible says God hasn't left us like this. He hasn't left us with all these blemishes. There's a book in the Bible at the end, it's called Revelation, and it's a vision of Jesus' revelation on the earth. And it says that the suffering earth will actually pass away. So people say, why can't we get on? Why can't we? One day we will. And those who know Christ, who have that beauty because of Jesus, that life because of Jesus, will get to be part of a new earth. And we don't talk about this much, we just call it heaven. And there's a new heaven, but there's also a new earth. And God will recreate it. It's right there in the Bible. He'll recreate it without sin, just as he originally did when we think about the Garden of Eden. He will recreate a new earth, a new heaven, new earth. And we who have Jesus get to enjoy this new world. So we long for perfection. We long for beauty. We long for people to get on. We long for joy and pain and suffering to go. That's what it actually says in the Bible. That's prophecy. That there will be this, there is a much bigger game that's being played than just this little life we have. So yes, we kind of are born, we die. But there is a whole new reality that is waiting for us. And even with glorified bodies, woohoo! So we don't have to do this forever. We don't actually even need makeup. There'll be a time where we won't even worry about makeup because we will have that perfect glorified body. He calls it a glorified body without sin. And so that for me is what gives me joy. So this gives me temporary joy, but when you wash off the makeup, your standing before God is still the same. And we have that hope that when we look around and we see this sad world, we have a joy that can be within us because we know what's coming. And we actually get to be part of the new reality that God has created. Yeah. Do you have any questions about that? Is Dee looking beautiful?
Yeah.
This is my little mirror. So this is I don't know how long that took, but that's what we've done. And there's all these other things you can do to make yourself look beautiful. But this is just the basics, and it's hopefully just trying to restore. Yeah, we've added a little bit. We've given her fatter lashes and different colour and all that stuff, but really just to restore what we're looking forward to. Yeah, I think I may have. Thank you, Dee. Should we take a photo of you later too? I had another little thing. I think I've left it in the car. Does anyone have any questions about what I've mentioned? Was that all like very esoteric and very higher, fluffy stuff, or was that? Have you heard it all before, or is there anything new? Yeah. Revelation 20, I think. 20, 21, 22. Yeah. The idea being that he'll recreate it how he did, but there will be no sin. There'll be no potential for sin. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that because I think that's Nita mentioned the desires of a heart being fulfilled, but I don't think that all of our desires are fulfilled in this life. I have desires to fly with my arms. I think that there are things, not all of them, but things that we have desires for. We can have that joy because they might not be fulfilled here, but I think that the new reality that we're looking forward to, they probably will be. I can't see that as a stretch that we'll be able to fly and move through dimensions and time and space with a little effort, things like that. I've always wanted to be a mermaid and swim under the water without having to breathe. I don't know if that will be how God makes us with gills. I'm not saying that at all. I don't think so, because that's not his image. But I think that in eternity, it's not just that little die and then we have heaven. It is new heaven, new earth. And for me, that's what really inspires my joy, especially when encountering hardships here on earth. Yeah. Delight yourself in the Lord, yeah. And in his presence is fullness of joy. It's not really found anywhere else. Happiness, yeah, but joy. Joy's a bit deeper than that. Yeah. There was another thing I read in preparing for today, and it mentioned a lady who had written a book, and she suggested going without makeup as a spiritual discipline. I'm totally fine with that, but I think that we need to be careful not just to wear it because it can be a mask, and our intentions need to be pure. If you're not wearing makeup, that's great. If you are, that's fine. But I think we need to be all confident in our inner beauty. She made a really good point that our inner beauty is hard work, peaceful and gentle spirit. That's what it says in the Bible is beauty to God. One of that is peaceful and a gentle spirit. It doesn't mean we're gentle and quiet all the time, but our spirit is quiet. It's not disordered and striving and full of chaos. But that takes work, to be peaceful and gentle and have a quiet spirit. It takes work, but we can slap on some makeup. That's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and it's done. So it's harder to work at the real beauty, and I think that's sometimes why or other people might use makeup as a bit of a crutch to, it's a temporary instant gratification, but it's there is a deeper beauty that God calls us to, and also to be different perhaps to people around us. That's a challenge because lots of people wear makeup, and so but it's up to you to weigh that up how you want to go with that. But I've just shown you an example of makeup, and I hope that's food for thought. Yeah. You're welcome.